Hello again and welcome back to our course on Project 2019 Advanced. In this section we're going to continue looking at custom tables, and we're going to concentrate in this section on the administration or the management of custom table definitions. Now this time around I'm looking at a resource sheet, and as I mentioned in the preceding section, you can have custom table definitions for resource related tables as well. So let me click on the tables drop down and click on More Tables. And note that resource is selected by default. So let me select Task and go down to my custom table DA Weekly Update. Now notice that I can't apply that, and in fact I can't apply any of the custom table definitions for tasks when I'm looking at resources. So although the two sets of custom table definitions work in the same way, they're not compatible with each other. So you can't create a custom resource table definition and then apply it to tasks. So that's a really important point to remember. So let's go back to the table definition we created in the preceding section and talk about some management aspects of that. So this is my custom table, DA Weekly Update, as it was at the end of the preceding section. And what we're going to look at now is how we can delete tables that we've created. So you may have made a change and you no longer need an earlier version. So how do you delete a custom table definition? Well, in order to answer that question, it's important to understand how these table definitions are held. So let me go back into More Tables. And there is my current one, DA Weekly Update. And you can see that there's an old one underneath with a slight spelling mistake, DA Wiki Update. And this is the one that I want to delete. So I'm going to jump into the organizer. And I'm going to assume that you've used the organizer before. You can see that I have access to the global template, which is a function of my installation of Microsoft Project. But I also have access to certain entities that are within the current project, in this case, Website 07. Now note that within Website 07, I have TA Weekly Update. And if I have an entity such as table definition here, and I, for instance, wanted to use the same definition in a different project, the normal procedure is to copy it into my global template or my global.mpt, and then it will be available to other MPP files, other projects that I might want to use that definition in. Now note that in my global.mpt here, I've got that old table definition, the one that's spelt incorrectly, DA Wiki Update. If I want to delete that, all I need to do is select it in the global template list and click on Delete. I'm going to confirm yes that I want to delete it, and it's gone. And if I want to copy the new version into the global template so that I can use it elsewhere, I select it on the list on the right, so DA Weekly Update, and note the copy button in the middle there with the left facing chevrons. We're going to copy it, and it gets copied into the global template, and it's available there for me to copy into another project file. So if I was to open a different project now and then open the organizer and select from the global template my new custom table definition, DA Weekly Update, I can copy that into the individual project, and then that will be usable within that project. And for instance, I might even send that project to somebody else and let them have access to my new table definition, and they maybe will copy it into their global template and so on. So in terms of generally moving these definitions around, I tend to use the organizer. And to delete a table definition either from the global template or from the current project, I also use the organizer. So it's a really useful little tool. So I've closed the organizer, and we're going to look at some other aspects of the management of custom table definitions. And let's start by looking at some ways of creating new custom table definitions. On the Tables menu here, one of the options is Save Fields as a New Table. And what this will do, whatever fields you've got currently displayed, even if it's an existing custom table, when you click on this option, you're given the option of saving whatever you have now as a new table. So if you want to do that, you type in a table name there, click on OK, and you have a new table definition. Alternatively, if you've made some changes and you effectively want to overwrite the old version, you have an option there, Update Current Table. So that's one way of creating a new table. Another way is to go back into More Tables, take an existing table. So let's suppose you want to start with the entry table. Click on Copy, and that opens up the Table Definitions dialog. You have effectively a copy of the definition of the entry table, and you can enter a new table name up here. So let's say something like DA entry. And that's given you the current entry table as a starting point for your own custom entry table. So that's another way of doing it. Yet another way of doing it is to click on New, and that opens the table definition dialog again, and this time you've basically got almost literally a blank sheet of paper to start with. So you type in a name, you decide whether you want to show it in the menu, and then you start adding the fields into the table, and it's a pretty quick process. So if I wanted to start here with, say, name, I'm going to keep it aligned to the left. I'm going to say the width is going to be 36, and I'm happy to keep all the other options the same. And then you can add any additional fields to the table definition, that is columns to your table. You click, you select, and you can include custom fields in that, of course, and keep going until you've populated your new table. When you're done, click on OK to save it, and that is yet another way of creating a new custom table definition. And finally, just one more thing. If I go back into that tables menu again, if I wanted to reset everything back to how it was, don't forget that you have the Reset to Default button at the bottom, and that will revert the current table back to the default table. So all columns and formatting are removed if they're not in the global version, but the project data isn't affected. So that's really important. So that's it for this section. I will see you in the next one.